titles as your resume. And yeah, you better believe it means more titles, like doctor, CEO, and Your Honor. Because this is the SEC. And here, it just means more. What does it mean to be part of the Southeastern Conference? That yours is the only conference with its own chant? Well, yes, but it means more than that. It means a study abroad program that might include reforestation in a mangrove swamp in Australia. It means finding your calling, your future spouse, your startup's co-founders, and of course, grilling tongs that play your fight song. This is the SEC, and here, it just means more.
Easy. You Pro, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sports Center. Good morning. I'm Doug Brown. At the NBA All-Star Weekend in San Francisco, Steph Curry wins his second All-Star MVP. His team, the OGs, beat the Global Stars in the final, 41-25. LeBron James and Anthony Edwards were late scratches. James sat out the All-Star game for the first time in his career to rest his left foot and ankle. After a long rain delay and late race multi-car crashes, William Byron wins his second straight Daytona 500. He's only the fifth driver to do it. Tyler Reddick's second, seven-time NASCAR champ Jimmy Johnson was third. Women's college basketball, Michaela Blakes of Vanderbilt puts up a Division I freshman record 55 points in a 98-88 overtime win against Auburn.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio. And have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Never miss 1 second of Charger basketball with the Charger Zone.
Murray attacks and lobs it, jamming it down. And Daniel Saylor on the alley-oop right out of the
Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app. Joe Hunk, John Abraham, 256-576-4977. Welcome to the Blitz.
Welcome indeed. Yet another day, yet another show. John Abraham, Joe Hunk here on a Blitz Day edition of the Blitz. Always presented by the wonderful people at Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Guys, you can talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at hsv.com. Remember that Fleming always shows up. But Joe, might need after what happened this weekend.
Live.
There you are. I knew I missed something. I had everything so perfect that I had to.
No. It is totally okay. No, the reason why today is going to be a little bit special is honestly, we know that majority of our audience right now is probably watching on home from WZZ and TV.
Yeah, because a bunch of presidents. Which, Joe, can you name the sixth president of the United States? Go. That's the question we're going to be asking throughout the show. Sixth president. Go on. Come on now. You got this.
John S. Adams.
No.
I really had no
the
idea.
Adams were the second and the fifth.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, that's the only reason I can think of it. I know there's two different ones, and I can only remember that one.
Well, I'm going to guess Andrew Jackson. No, it actually was John Quincy Adams was the sixth. So the fifth was not John.
Okay.
It was probably Jackson.
See, there we go. Yeah. No, that is it.
That's
you
what
let
this
us know
all about.
your favorite president. God, that would be such a bad question.
Dude, what if it was just the Blitz, just the President Edition, where all we did was talk about presidents and not talk about the amazing nonsense that we had over the weekend like the NASCAR over at Daytona 500.
We don't even need to talk about
no,
that.
Joe, we do.
That's called malpractice, is what that would be. A lot of times we hear that with being in the medical field.
Yeah.
But no, what we're really thinking of is what's going on. You are not going to talk about the NASCAR thing.
But I will.
I know you will mention it. The biggest thing, obviously, Alabama, Auburn, the game that happened down in Tuscaloosa that took over the entire state. There were points and times in the game. It was funny because for some reason, whenever Steve Moulton and I do a game together, whether it is UAH basketball, Havoc hockey, whatever it is, there's always some sort of a delay. I don't know why that is. We had it Saturday with UAH. We had it Sunday with Havoc hockey. And I think it's just the Steve and I thing. Like, it's the only thing. It's kind of like Hancock. You ever seen that movie?
Yes.
Whenever we're together, it just doesn't work. So the reason why I say that is because UAH, at one point in time, all of the scoreboards just went out, like right before tip. Like, it was 4 minutes until tip off between UAH and Union, and then it just went boom, and everything died. So I joked with Steve because we were already live on the air. And I joked with Steve, hey, maybe UAH should take a note from what the Havoc did, and maybe they should put up the Alabama Auburn game on the Jumbotron while we're trying to figure out what this is. Basically, we were killing time.
Yeah.
That's all what it was. But beforehand, all people talked about, even inside of Spraggins, was, hey, so what's the score of the UAH? What's the score of the Alabama Auburn game? Hey, what's the score? Hey, anybody got an update on the game? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's the score? Like, it was everywhere.
It didn't shift ties that much. It was Auburn all the way through, although Alabama did bring it close. Auburn inevitably got the win in that one. And, Joe, we have a lot to talk about with it, not just between ourselves, but on top of that, Ike Jones from the War Report going to talk with us a little bit more from the Auburn perspective, as well as, of course, the listeners that can call in throughout the entirety of the show. 256-576-9777 is the number to hop in.
Yes, and always brought to you, no matter if it's on an ESPN Winchester or if it's on 97.7 ESPN The Zone by Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Which, Joe, did you get – I know you live on a different side of Huntsville, different side of North Alabama pretty much, but, like, that weather that came through, I mean, Grace Sanella wasn't joking.
No, she wasn't joking. We may actually need to get her on tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
So, because Saturday night into Sunday, got home, done with the basketball games, and I think I went to sleep at like 9. I was
I was the opposite, Joe. I stayed up. I love myself a good, solid storm. In all reality, when I'm older, I want to be a storm chaser. Let's just be honest with you, okay? I want to be like the guy who's
starting for that like now.
No, I don't think so. I think you can be a YouTuber with a camera and just go into the middle of a hurricane. You'll be fine.
That's not smart.
Well, regardless of that, the rain did come down. It didn't bother any of our, trips to, of course, Tuscaloosa or back. And hopefully, everybody was able to stay safe. But there were quite a few of tornadoes touching down.
What I was about to tell you was, I went to sleep at 9, and right before I fell asleep, my wife looked at me and she said, "Hey, the door is shut. Do you think we're hearing the alarms if they go off?" I'm like, "Yes, we will hear the alarms if they go off." It was almost midnight on the dot. Every single phone in the house, every single weather box that we have, everything started going off at the exact same time. And all I did is I looked at her and I said, "See, told you." And then I just rolled back over it. She looks at me and says, "Are you not going to get?" I was like, "For what?" I was like, it's storm. Like, okay, like when it really starts to hit, okay. There's no, you get everybody. We get in the closets. We get the helmets. All the kids are waking them up. We're moving them into the closets there. Little man, we're going to get his helmet on. Baby girl, she's going to get her helmet on. Everybody's there. And all we did is I set the iPad up like on some towels, and I just put it right there. And we watched the weather for like all of 2 hours. And finally, when they said, everybody that is, Madison County, you are now clear. I looked over at her and I said, "Can we go to bed now?" I'm like, "Can I go back to sleep?" So we try to go back to sleep. Nobody in the house can go to sleep. Not one bit. So my wife goes and tries to get our daughter back to sleep. And little man is awake with me, all watching. So I turned the TV on and he goes, "Nick, can we watch something we want to watch?" I said, "I'll watch something I want to watch." I forced him to watch a documentary on Japanese baseball.
Oh my gosh, Joe! You're making these kids suffer. I'm gonna call the Human Health Services on you.
I made him watch this, but the cool thing about it was he's learning to read right now. And so it was all closed caption because they're speaking in Japanese.
I mean, that's 10 times worse. That's like my dad trying to show me this like Christian film back in the day. I literally could not understand it because they were speaking in like Israelish or whatever. I don't exactly know.
Israelish? That's not a thing.
Israelian. There you go.
Yeah. So the thing about it is the words that he knew on the screen he would say. So he's be like the 100, like he's just sitting there like saying individual one. We watched the entire thing. It was an hour and a half.
We loved it. And speaking of Ollie, I mean, he is chilling with us on a Monday here in the studio. And if you're watching over on WZZN TV, it's perfect because you can just barely see his head as he is. He's close. He's getting the blue light right now directly into his eyeballs, but he's playing some PlayStation.
Yeah, he's playing some Roblox right now is what he's in. So he's got it going. And I told him that it's going to be like, hey, we're on the air. You need to be quiet. It's not working.
It's all right. You just got to be louder.
But the problem is I also just antagonized him by mentioning him. So now it's kind of one of those things of like, hey, you brought me up. So this is all on you.
No doubt.
So, so I did. I made him watch a documentary on the Coach, which is the high school baseball tournament.
Nobody wants to hear about it.
Just telling you what it's about, man. It just telling you what.
Which is legit, though. It is legit. If you ever watched the high school tournament, it's almost crazier than the World Series.
Matter of fact, Shohei Ohtani is in the documentary, and he says this is the World Series of Japan. This is bigger. Winning this tournament is bigger than winning the World Series for actual Japanese baseball.
Yeah.
Like that's how big it is. But I made him watch the whole thing. It was almost 2 hours long. We watched the whole movie before anybody said, "Okay, I think we're tired now. We can go to sleep."
Yeah.
Okay. So needless to say, I was wide awake for all of the storms.
Well, hopefully all your shingles are still on your roof, and if not, of course, Fleming Roofing and Restoration are the people to get hooked up with that. But on top of that, we also had, of course, the hockey, because I think a lot more eyes were focused on this Nationals event than usual, with the USA facing off against Canada, which, by the way, that continues tonight. We're going to see the other two matchups get underway as we get closer to that championship matchup, inevitably against USA and Canada.
And I'm telling you, I don't know if this is just a flash in the pan with four nations. I don't know if it is or not.
Shouldn't be.
But my daughter and I watched every single second of USA Canada.
That's what I like to hear.
I wish that my wife had taken a picture of it because we had it up on like my cell phone as we were eating dinner. And my daughter was sitting right beside me, and she barely knows 3 words as it is.
In the chat, saying 51st state.
Yeah.
If we win the championship, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to bring them in. Again, though, it's too big to be a state. Let's just cut it up into a bunch of different. Let's make it 100 states altogether for America. And like Tom said, put a big old maple leaf in the middle of the flag. Maybe not in the middle of the stars, just a small one.
Actually, you have all the stars, and you have the one maple leaf just right there.
It doesn't even have to be in the middle. I don't even care. Put it off to the left.
She only knows like 3 words total. And the second that I put it on, she saw it and she went, "That's hockey."
That is hockey.
And I went, "Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is." So she is a good learner. So she watched the whole thing with me, did not take her eyes off the screen the entire time. That is how captivating Four Nations is. And I really genuinely hope that the rest of professional sports is paying attention to it, because this is the direct opposite of the NFL. Oh, we're going to do a flag football game and we're going to play tic-tac-toe.
Nobody cares.
We're going to play tic-tac-toe with our kickers.
What about the more timely all-star thing that's going on? What is it, the NBA? What are they doing, like 4 teams?
Yeah,
They're trying to do a similar story?
I had no idea what they did.
I don't care.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
The court is awful. I mean, it just looked terrible.
So Tom, like all week last week, kept going, what if these guys get hurt? Do you think they're going to fight? Do you think things are going to happen? Yeah, you booed the national anthem, and it was 4 seconds into this thing, and we're all dropping gloves.
Yeah, and I think we all loved it as well. I mean, there was no problem with that. 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. You got me hooked for the rest of the game. We're going all 3 periods, and you know what? If the USA doesn't win, we got them in round 2. Regardless of that, we're going to shut them out. We're going to have a fun time doing it.
And I have no idea at how everybody else that watched this felt, because I have the numbers of how they did in the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
But This seriously was such an intense moment, and it did not feel like an exhibition game.
Oh no,
like at all.
no. This feels like how an actual all-star or all nations type of tournament should be, and that's kind of something that I think about when I look at these other all-star games. Yes, you want to look at the talent within the country, within this league, but now with all these countries, not in the NFL, branching out to different countries like Germany, like we've seen in the NBA, there is more of a way that it can happen. You bring in a German team, you bring in just a European team. I don't know, any of them. You get 4 of those teams. That's what gets people hooked because then you have the Jokic, Djokovic's, and all of those other guys.
Look, and I know that Major League Baseball, the WBC is a massive hit around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, it absolutely is. No matter, it doesn't matter wherever Korea is playing, it is sold out. Whenever the USA plays, it is sold out. Like, this is a massive deal. The WBC does not need to be adjusted at all. But if there was a time and period to do it, this is basically like hockey's equivalent of the WBC, and they just did it in the middle of the year.
No doubt about that.
It was amazing. And I don't think baseball needs to change their all-star game one bit. Like, there's nothing that they need to do now that they've actually fixed the uniforms, and I'm talking about the regular season uniforms, and they've turned around and they've actually going to bring back the individual uniforms for all the players in the all-star game. There's nothing really more that they need to fix in it. But as far as the NBA and the NFL, I don't know what the notes are that they need to take about figuring out the way to get it to this level. Because the problem is, if you try to do this with the NBA or even with basketball, period, USA still dominates that. Like, there's a genuine conversation to be had. And remember, Russia's not a part of this. So that's the reason why it's the 4 nations and it's not like a World Cup type thing. There's a reason for that. So you have Canada, who is obviously like the premier power in hockey right now. And then you have USA, which arguably is getting close to looking like it's a 1A, 1B type situation in the 4 nations. I'm not saying it could be the exact same way when we get to the Olympics. But you don't have that in NBA. You don't have that in football. So you can't go this exact same route and copy the model.
Yeah. You can't do it. You can't do it exactly, but you can maybe flex it a little bit, especially going on into the future as we get more diversity within these major sports. But I do want to say the sellout crowd, 21,000 plus people inside of the arena in Canada. Again, this was in Canada. If you watched the game, if you saw the highlights, or if you didn't watch at all, you could tell those Canadian fans were rowdy. They were getting loud, and that one goal that they had at the beginning of the game, it shook the world. I mean, I felt it. I felt it all the way down here in Alabama. Like, that's how it felt.
It absolutely was massive.
So for these players to really zone in inside of enemy territory, just enemy territory, because this is in the sports way. We're not getting into a war with Canada. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, for them to just keep that composure, keep it rocking and rolling, good for them. For Finland and Sweden that had to play against each other earlier in the day, I mean, it was just like a high school game where
we appreciate you coming.
Yeah, good stuff from them.
Well, and now this thing is going to move, and the championship is going to be Thursday and TD Gardens in Boston. USA should absolutely show out in this thing. Okay, like this is a pride thing now. Like, now you get the championship at home in Boston, which is literally like outside of Philly is like the most American place that you can have a championship game. And so you need to have the USA needs to have a presence the way that Canada did on Saturday.
No doubt about that, Joe. We do need to hop into a break. Phone lines open to the listeners. 256-576-97.7 is the number to hop in as we continue on Monday here on the Blitz. But this is extended to both the Huntsville listeners, the nationwide listeners, as well as the ESPN Winchester listeners, how big it truly was that Alabama-Auburn matchup, as well as the American race. Because, Joe, I'm going to talk some NASCAR on this edition of the Blitz. We'll be right back here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and WZZN TV.
Tom Yugenville here from my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. On White, his team takes great pride in their service department, and you see it the moment you walk into those beautiful service. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, Check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed the musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you have a crawl space problem. That's where AFS comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at afsrepair.com/row. While you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one. Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electric. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. Why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next out. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at superstore.com.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan? The right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing and Hazel Green. John Kendall, the Vice President of Mortgage, with me. John, when they need a loan, and I say they, when people need a loan, it's about them.
That's right, Scott. Our whole motto is all about you. We're going to be okay. You're the one making the investment. We want to make sure that you're taken care of.
How do they find you?
Give us a call at 256-507-9180, or they can catch us online at bankoffrankewing.com.
It's Bank of Frank Ewing and Hazel Green, where they take the home loan to you and they make it all about you. Bank of Frank Ewing and Hazel Green is an FDI insured bank, as well as an equal housing
NMLS number 446707.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Olin. Partly cloudy sky expected for this Monday night. Temperatures are expected to fall below freezing. Heading into our Tuesday, we'll see partly sunshine, no rain in the forecast during the day on Tuesday. High temperatures will move into the upper 40s. Heading into Tuesday night, though, that's when we'll see rain start to move into the area. Lingers on into early Wednesday morning. To be out of the way by lunchtime on Wednesday. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Olin on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
24/7, 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN, The
I
Zone.
don't want to do any work around this chain anymore. Again, thanks for rolling here on a Monday on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, as well as ESPN Winchester. A shout out to Tennessee as they were able to get a win against Vanderbilt this weekend in the SEC play that we very much enjoyed. And I do want to hop into more of that conversation, Joe, around the SEC, of course, because that's when we get a lot of those primetime games, the premier matchups.
Yes.
Is over the weekend. And then we get a good one, on Tuesdays, sometimes on Thursdays. We also had to see the rematch between Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan, yet again, got the dub over the Buckeyes. But, again, that's a conversation for Over and Dan to have.
Well, and feel free for him to call it as well as anybody else at 256-576-977. Busy weekend. Obviously, it's always a busy weekend for us. And I'm not saying it's, an exaggeration, just to give you an idea of it. For myself, I had baseball on Friday, or a doubleheader on Friday for baseball. Had a single game on Saturday for baseball. Turned around, then had 2 basketball games. Yep. And then Friday or Sunday, we then had hockey for the Havoc, which, by the way, Havoc are going to be in action tonight or / this afternoon 4 o'clock puck drop down in Birmingham.
They like to have those midday puck drops.
That's all I ask is 2 things. 1, go down there and destroy them. And 2, please, for all that is holy Birmingham, do not do whatever in heaven's name you did last time for intermission entertainment. Please do not. Like, just do not do that. But you'll be able to watch that over on Flow Sports, 4 p.m. puck drop right now. Havoc are tied for first place with Peoria. They lost last night in an overtime shootout, but they did get the point that tied them with Peoria. Huntsville is also the only team playing today between Peoria and Huntsville. So either with a win or an OT loss, Huntsville takes over number 1.
Yeah, you can also look forward to Alabama versus Texas A&M in the women's basketball, as it will be on our airways directly after a coach. And on top of that, the drive's going to be live from Carrabba's, so stop by there and get some heck of good food. You can also get it half off over on Big Zone Deals, which you can find on 97.7 ESPNthezone.com.
Well, and you mentioned Tennessee and Vanderbilt and Ohio State, Michigan. I didn't pay attention to any of those games.
I know, and you could. I mean, you had to do. I mean, you could have caught it later on demand on YouTube or whatever like that. But I mean, you were busy, and I even got to call one of the softball games for UAH as they were able
to
sweep the Christian Brothers. But I will say, it was a very close game. The final one was really good. It was a comeback win for UAH, big time win to start off conference play, and on top of that, 31 straight against the Bucks.
Well, and
39 straight.
Yeah, and with those right here, like John helped out big time because Steve and myself, we were basically like up against the clock just trying to get over to Spraggins. Now, I got lucky because the UAH men's and the baseball team, they absolutely obliterated CBU. And there's a 1-2 or 3 against them. But the game on Saturday, they won 21-2. They at one point in time were inside the mercy rule number of 10-run lead in the third.
Yeah.
Like it was that big of a domination between them. So I got lucky because my game ended a little bit early. So I was able to get over there and get with Steve for the women's game for basketball. But even as that was happening, when I walked into Spraggins, everybody is, what time does Alabama Auburn play? Can we get that on in the varsity room to, do like a side-by-side with the women's game if we're in here eating or anything? Like, we also be watching this while we're going during the intermission between the 2 games. Walk in, grab a bite to eat real fast, and all the conversation is, "Hey, anybody got an update? Anybody got an update?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's going on in the game? How's it all happening?" It's all anybody was talking about. And there was a period of time last week I genuinely wondered, is this just us focusing on us because of the fact that it's Alabama Auburn, or is this really the biggest game in the nation?
No, I think it was the latter, and I think everybody was kind of focusing on this matchup. But we do need to talk a little bit more about all of the SEC matchups because we did get a few upsets, maybe just one, but we got an upset this weekend, and we will be talking about that. But Joe, I want to get this out of the way because I've been just eyeballing it for a solid second, and that's going to be Daytona 500. Didn't get to watch too much of it. I will say this, because it kind of got rained out, and then I had to do my taxes, which appreciate Brian and A-Rap helping me out with that, which I would give him a little bit more love, but I don't have all of the formalities right now.
Yes.
But I do have this over on WCZN TV. This was a huge wreck that came 5 to go, led it all to overtime, and inevitably got William Byron his second win in a row at Daytona, and it's up on the stream right now, and you can see me and you are right next to each other, Joe. This is so cool. So we can watch it.
This is actually looking a lot more. This is more interesting to me than the actual crash.
Christopher Bell, hitting the wall, going back into the field. Brian Priest in the 60 car, flying into the wall, flips over. Just shows you a little bit of how these cars can withstand impact, going 180 to 190 miles per hour on that gigantic oval over in Daytona. Everybody was fine. Some pride was lost. But, at the end of the day, you get William Byron winning the second race in a row at Daytona, and season starts off identical to last year with Tyler Reddick sitting at second, and then Jimmy Johnson in the Shaq car sitting in third. Tell that to Tyler Reddick and Michael Jordan, which, Michael Jordan owns Tyler Reddick's team. So, Shaq behind him is pretty cool. Regardless of that, I'm just glad I could get that out of the way, Joe, and now we can talk a little bit more about the SEC slate. Not just by ourselves, but with the listeners. 256-576-97.7 is the number to get in. we definitely are going to talk about Alabama Auburn.
No,
All right.
and the question that you asked in there was about the hype.
Yes.
Did it? And I'm genuinely curious about it because I know, again, being in this state when the state of Alabama did not care about basketball at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was, oh yeah, hey, basketball is happening. To see the way that these teams, both of them, have grown at the exact same time. This isn't a football thing where one team's really good and the other team sucks, or vice versa. It swaps places on which team is good and which team is not. It's not one of those.
It grew because one side was growing. And it literally grew so fast that it seems like, well, they're both together. I mean, Bruce Pearl, it started, I feel like, with Bruce Pearl. Nate Oates comes in for Alabama. Of course, they need to try and get a new coach, get this team up this stuff. And that's what we're seeing right now. It doesn't matter. You know, the outcome of this game at the end of the day doesn't really matter. It's not going to change who's going to make it into the tournament.
It does matter depending on what happens down at Auburn, because then you're talking tiebreakers.
Well, it matters just because now we're looking at, of course, that Auburn matchup. In Auburn, last game of the season, you want to get your win at home because that should be the surefire one. You don't know.
Shoot better than 15%.
You should.
It was behind 3.
Alabama, it seemed like Alabama was off the entire game from the jump, and that was just because, I mean, Auburn came out, hit the three-pointer, then they continued on. I believe they had a 13-2 lead, and then Alabama did rebound. But outside of that, it seemed like it was just Alabama scraping to get back up there this entire game. It wasn't a pretty game for Mark Sears. Wasn't a pretty game from Diabate. It was just one of those games where Alabama was trailing the whole time. Similar to if you get your finances in the red at the beginning of the year, you're going to be trying to scrape back to the top until it's already 26.
Well, no, and it wasn't just that they struggled from 3. Like, obviously, they shoot more three-pointers than anybody else in the SEC. You know that has been talked about. Okay. But it is also the fact that you saw it like 38% from the field, and you couldn't even make layups at times.
I know. Oh, my gosh. At the end, I think it was Stevenson. He tried to lay that one up to, I believe, get the tie or maybe even get the lead for the first time, and it just went over the rim. I was thinking to myself, I was like, that's one you got to make.
Well, even the Grant Nelson going through the lane where he could have dunked it, he could have laid it up. He thought that he was going to get fouled. He didn't think he was going to get fouled. He couldn't make a decision what he was going to do. Like, those are things that you don't do at home. Yeah. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, even Auburn, going back to when they lost to Florida, you shouldn't shoot the way that they shot at home. That is your place. You know everything. Your depth perception is right. You've taken shots in that arena numerous times. You should be spot on. If there's ever going to be a place where you're going to be the most spot on, it is at home.
Oh, you say that about this Alabama team, but I mean, if we're looking at how this team has played, I mean, home has kind of been where they have lost some of the matchups. They haven't played well. And it is weird, but I mean, sometimes you get in that road environment, you get the crowd booing you, they're beating you, they're throwing these slangs at you, and you're thinking to yourself, well, they're looking down on us. We're the little man. So let's go out and show them that we're not the little man. Let's beat them. So that's why I am looking forward to this matchup at the end of the season against Auburn in Auburn, because this is going to really show what this team is made of. And then down the road, a lot of those games in March Madness going to be on the road, Joe. Just saying.
Well, all the games in March Madness is going to be on the road, which you'll be able to listen to on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Yes, sir.
But it just blew me away that they only shot 19% from 3, and I focused on that just because of how many threes they normally shoot throughout a season, and it's been a mixed bag. Like, they only made 5 threes, which they've done 2 other times so far this year. One was in a win, one was in a loss. They only made 5 threes against Ole Miss. They lost. They only made 5 threes against Arkansas. They won. Like, this isn't something that they haven't done in like 4 or 5 years. Like, this is how 3-point shooting goes for them. But the 19%, they've done that only one other time, and that was against Arkansas State, like the second game of the season or something along those lines. You should not be that cold from your key spots throughout a game. Like, you just absolutely shouldn't, especially at home. It's going to be different when you're on the road. But at home, that's the ones where it's going to be how on earth did they just make 75% of their threes? Yeah. Like, that's where you should be getting those conversations. But the other problem is something that they actually did okay in, which was rebounding. Like, they held their own kind of down low. The problem was they weren't making the shots that they should have made, even from inside the arc.
No doubt about that. Jonai Broom, of course, having a good game. 19 points from him, 14 rebounds, which, I mean, it might honestly be more than the rest of the team combined on top of that 6 assists. And he really was that playmaker, but it really wasn't just Johni Broome. This was a team effort and a lot of the bench as well, because we got to get to see Baker Mazar. On top of that, Pettifer had over double digits points. Cheney Johnson with that madhouse three-pointer really – it was almost like a dagger. And although Alabama kept coming back, kept throwing in either the threes or getting close within 3 points, it just seemed like Auburn always had it on lock.
So I have the shot chart pulled up right now because I really was curious about where this was taking place. Yeah. First off, shooting in college basketball in the NBA now is so funny because
I was like, no, it's not fun.
No, it's
unless you're like 3-pointers.
Because you're either 2 feet from the goal or you're 20 feet from the goal. One of the two. Alabama only took one shot from the free throw line or back when it comes to inside the arc itself. And there was one shot that they took at the free throw line itself. The rest of the shots for Alabama that was obviously inside of the arc was inside of the actual arc itself underneath the goal. They missed 12. 12 shots from inside the arc.
You live by the three, you die by the three.
And I'm talking about not that arc. I'm talking about the one that's actually
The
around the goal. The one that's like a foot and a
one.
half away.
Oh, I know. Whenever Stevenson laid up that one and it just went straight over, I was thinking to myself, we can't make one inside of this little area.
I don't think that right now I could go into an Auburn practice and go up against their starters and miss 12 shots from inside the arc against them. Like that is, you don't miss 12 from inside of that.
You shouldn't.
Like that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not even counting the misses around the 3-point line. I'm talking about 2 feet away, 3 feet away, 4. You don't miss those.
Regardless of that, we also got to see an actual upset throughout the SEC this weekend. Well, 2 of them, to be exact, over in the Egg Bowl on the hardwood. Mississippi State winning against Ole Miss. It was a 22 against the 19. I mean, what are you going to do
Grace
about
is very confused on this. She had a lot going on.
She's not. She knows. She knows exactly what she was talking about. You know what?
It the EBOB.
She's shaking that bell right now, that cowbell like crazy because of that win. On top of that, Kentucky. They lost. I mean, they did not show up in Texas, and this is crazy because Texas, you think they're at least getting a little bit of their footing going into this later half of the season, but it still doesn't seem like they're the best when it comes to the Big 12 teams coming over. I feel like there's it's such a mixed bag between Oklahoma and Texas. Obviously, both of them they're capable of making a March Madness run, but it just depends on if they lose enough games from the SEC perspective. But for Texas, I'll admit we got Trey Johnson. If we're an Alabama fan, we got Trey Johnson on a great night because he did not do what he did in this matchup where he put up 32 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and behind him, I mean, it was a 2-man show because Tremon Mark also was able to put up double digits, 26 points himself. So those were the only 2 players on this Texas team that put up double digits. Can you believe that?
256, 576, 977. What player surprised you the most in that game for Alabama and Auburn? Like between the two, I'm not a good surprise, bad surprise. What player surprised you the most with the way that they played?
It's a good question.
And that's where I'm curious about it with the way that people are thinking about this. And obviously, you can get on the WCCN TV chat. You can also hop in on the phone lines, X as well. You can shoot us a tweet there. All of that. And Brandon says, I figured if there was going to be big fights over the weekend, it would have been at Coleman and not at the hockey game. Well, depends on which hockey game.
There was almost a fight in Coleman, but it was between, I think it was Baker Mazzara and
towards the very end of the game. Well, yeah, then the players had to pull him out of it.
What are these people doing? I mean, they're sitting courtside and come on. It's basketball. Like, guy's going to run into your husband every once in a while.
No, but at the same time, this is a rivalry. Like this is probably if you ever wanted to see what it would be like if Alabama and Auburn were the best teams in the nation, this is exactly what you've been waiting for. This is how everybody was going to react.
Yeah.
It's not going to be much better if we get to Auburn Arena and Alabama comes in and they're still number 2 or number 3, which I genuinely don't think they should drop. Like I know that they didn't play as good as that they normally would.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you still lost to the number one team in the nation, and you only lost by what, 9? Yeah, 9 points.
Yeah, and they pulled it in close. I mean, this is crazy too because Jonai Broom, of course, goes out. He was feeling his ankle a little bit, but Auburn's still able to keep the pressure on Alabama. The only other team I could see possibly jumping Alabama right now would be Florida, and I could see how you could make a point because in the last 3 games they played Mississippi State. They won against them pretty handily. Before that, they played Auburn. They got a 9-point win against that team. So they beat South Carolina. Then they play Oklahoma. It's not a tougher schedule, but it is a schedule that they've consistently won enough games to where they could possibly take that number 2 spot, but I don't think it would be for long.
What and I asked you about which player hated had the most or whatever. I forget even how I just asked a second ago.
Surprised us the most?
Surprised you the
Both
most.
sides.
Good and bad. If you want to go, which one would it be for you?
I don't know. Denver Jones has been on a roll lately. I mean, he really has been surprising me. And if it wasn't for him and, of course, Chaney Johnson also stepping up and Baker Mazzara, I mean, this team is looking more and more depth-wise, I would say strong, and that's something that is going to help them out in the long run because when this season started, I thought, hey, Jonai Broom, he's the guy. Chaney Johnson, he'll probably grow a little bit from his first year at Auburn, and, we might see a little bit more. But Denver Jones has truly been that second man up, coincidentally, rocking with number 2, and he's looked really good.
See, and if we're going with the one that stepped up in a positive way, I think Denver Jones probably would have been the answer for me too.
Yeah.
Especially behind the 3-point line and in those shots that he was making as well, because it wasn't just that he's making them, he was making them in transition. These were timely shots, especially when the game was getting close, because I want to say it was tied at 65, if I remember correctly. And that was the last time that Alabama had an actual real opportunity to take the lead in the game. And they had at least one trip down the court to take the lead, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And Auburn then came back, started draining threes again, got extremely hot, and part of that was Denver Jones. So there was that. If I look on the negative side, I kind of want to know Chris Youngblood, and I'm not harping on him because Mark Sears.
There's a few guys you could throw out with the negatives,
and even with Sears, the fact that he only made 2 3-pointers to me was kind of surprising. One of the ones that he made was actually beautiful, and it was a timely one that got them back really in this game.
Yeah, he didn't even stop at set for it. He was just running.
And trust me, if we talk about some of your favorite plays in sports, there's 2 that I always think of. Transition 3, love seeing those, and also goals off of a face-off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I always love seeing a goal off of a face-off. You win the face-off, puck goes to one of your guys, you hit it, boom, it's in the net. I don't know why I love that. But the transition 3 to me is so much fun to watch.
I agree with it. It's very, what's the word? Satisfying.
It is satisfying.
It's satisfying just because of how clean it could look. Whereas, the goal off of it could look good. It might go through a little bit more work.
But with Chris Youngblood, man, I felt like he should have been able to do more in this, especially with the way that he has been playing.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been somebody that outside of Mark Sears that I would have said, okay, this is the guy that if Sears has 20, he needs to have 15. He would have that with how good he can shoot at times.
I would have thought the same thing for Stevenson coming off of that big game last week. And he comes into this game. You're looking for somebody to really step up. If not Sears, you got to have the rest of your depth. And this is one of those games where you realize at times if we're not clicking, this team's depth goes down drastically. But I don't want to make it out like it was just a blowout from Auburn's perspective because Alabama was able to keep it close quite a bit.
Well, they kept it close because of rebounding and being able to do that. Auburn was turning the basketball over. Alabama didn't turn it over at all. That was one thing that I looked at and going, okay, when you're looking at the stat lines and you're saying, hey, what is something that, because I now go back in the time spending around with UAH basketball as I have for the past couple of weeks, I'm looking at turnovers and I was like, Auburn turned the basketball over only 4 times, but a lot of that was in the first half. When you start to look at what Alabama did, their turnovers, they didn't really do it in the first half, but they did it in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that will cause a game that is tied to then turn into a 10-point lead for whichever team is the one that's creating the turnovers. You cannot do this, especially when you're somebody like Chris Youngblood, who had, he didn't have any turnovers himself, But the thing is with him is there were periods and times where he had opportunities for shots that he needed to drain and he didn't. And you can go back, and I know they didn't play well against Texas, but you look at what he did like against Mississippi State and the games after the Mississippi State game where he's putting up 10 and 15 points. Like, that is somebody that I thought was going to kind of show up in this situation. He may have shown up and thought that he was going to show up. But you've got to. Like, you can't just sit here and do what you did against this one and expect to win a game at home against the number one team in the country.
No doubt about that. So we're going to have Ike Jones talking with us from the War Report, a little bit more from the Auburn perspective and where they kind of go from here, how they can stay at the top of the college basketball scene. And on top of that, get into some more of the fun to come, as well as your phone lines on the other side. We will hop into a break. When we get back, closing out the first hour, 256-576-9777, the number to get into the Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, ESPN Winchester.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
Atlanta Braves open up Grapefruit League play against the Twins on Saturday. The season opener March 27th at San Diego. Home opener April 4th against the Marlins. Atlanta plus 750 to win the World Series, plus 425 to win the National League, and the favorites to win the National League East Division title at plus 110. William Byron wins it in front of 500 for the second consecutive year. A rain-delayed race. Delayed 3.5 hours due to the weather. He moves it to the second consecutive season. He's 6-1 to win the Cup Series title. Kyle Larson 5-1. Christopher Bell plus 550. Atlanta Motor Speedway is in the Cup Series. For more, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation. Did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, lawn work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your paths with all dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Phil Penny Toyota. They've got a selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Phil Penny Perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Phil Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Phil Penny Toyota and online at philpennytoyota.com. Phil Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Normally, when you call a company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSD.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset. We recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Tuscaloosa, we live by the blue-collar basketball motto. The brave, not hard work.
2-on-1, driving, stepping through, stop, shot, got it, to go. Teamwork. The song for the champions of the Southeastern Conference. Join us for every game right here on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy. And Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. Our representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Plenty of sunshine expected for this President's Day. High temperatures only expected to warm into the low 40s, though, for the afternoon. Looking ahead into Monday night, we'll remain quiet under a partly cloudy sky. Low temperature is going to be falling into the mid and upper 20s for the overnight. Rain returns back to the forecast late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We are your home for March Madness.
Here comes Suns.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know who wanted it their way?
Who?
Justin Tucker.
God bless it.
I was going to actually go differently, but that song just,
No.
set me up perfectly. Look, Joe. Canada took some hard hits over the weekend in that hockey game against USA, and I got to admit, I want Freebird to be the opening for every single segment of Tom Abraham's show, so make sure you get that ready, get that set up, because I want it to be the case.
You want to know why it's not going to be the case?
Why is it?
Because he would not talk for 2 straight hours.
You're not wrong about it. You just let it go all the way through, and then he'd say, "Oh wait, let it play the guitar solo because this is the best guitar solo." You want to know why? Because the lead singer had to go to the bathroom. Then he just came back and let him keep going. No, look, Canada took a lot of hard hits, but Justin Tucker, I think, has taken the most hits because, he might just possibly be joining Deshaun Watson in ruining their careers completely. Even though Justin Tucker was known at one point as the best kicker who has ever existed, and this comes out with a bunch of allegations. 7 more massage therapists accusing Ravens kicker of sexual misconduct. Oh, now he's got a total of 16. So he's really added to his numbers, Joe. I mean, and this is going to definitely weigh a little bit on his legacy. Not all of them have been confirmed. I don't think any of them have been 100% confirmed, but these are accusations that you do not want to hear when you wake up.
I like the way that you continue to emphasize the confirmed part of this. No, it sucks because he is a person that I think people even looked at a lot higher than what he did for than what Deshaun Watson, what you looked at him for. Like you would it was looked at a lot higher than even Deshaun Watson, especially. I mean, I can count how many different times that there was some sort of feature on him and about how loved he was and all this other stuff. And that's it's a fall from grace type thing. Now again, nothing is confirmed. We obviously have no idea about this, that sort of thing.
But
So,
it's still going to weigh on his career just a little bit because for Deshaun Watson, he was able to at least settle these disputes. And at the end of the day, we can't really say if they happened or they didn't. It's just obviously by word, by what the court knows. But at the end of the day, Justin Tucker's going to have to be doing some settling because 16 people is quite a bit. And it sucks because this is, again, a guy that has a little bit more weight, I would say, than Deshaun Watson. Although Deshaun was great at the start of his career, Justin Tucker, he started his career with a Super Bowl win with the Ravens back in 2012. That's how long he's been here.
Absolutely.
And he's solidified himself as one of the best. He had the highest percentage until this season when he started missing more and more field goals. And that could have also been because maybe he had something in the back of his mind. Oh, might have been. Something in the back of his mind might have been throwing his game off, and that's where I think this could be coming up from. But again, these are spanning from 2012 to 2016 as well. So, I mean, this is a little bit of a history now.
Yes.
I
Now,
hate to see it.
Speaking of history, because I am totally pivoting from this.
Yeah, totally transitioning.
Yeah, totally transitioning from this. Do you know how many people watched USA and Canada Canada Saturday night.
Give me the entire population of USA and Canada combined. What is it? 500 million?
No, because 500 million would be like the record for all of humanity when it comes to a game. Remember, the Super Bowl only had 126 million.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like America versus Canada, and everybody should have their eyes on
I
hockey,
realize
right?
this, but again, we're just counting the numbers here. Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna guess. It's not gonna beat out the Super Bowl. It's definitely not gonna beat out Neil Armstrong's moon landing.
Okay, you're thinking way too big.
I'm gonna say there was 19 million people tuning
That
into
is
this one.
way too big.
Dang it!
Way too big.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, 4.4 million.
I'm still trying to calculate Canada's viewership
I know you
as
are.
well, 'cause you know they were watching.
You literally want every single Canuck to let you know if they were watching. Like you want it to be like the census, and you want us to want to walk out. Were you watching USA versus Canada?
To our Canadian listeners and viewers, hit us up 256-576-4977.
First off, it was Canada versus USA. Say it right. That's probably the first thing they would say. It maxed out at 5.2 million viewers on average. Now, let me put that into perspective, because when you hear that number, and we just talked about 125 million for the Super Bowl. Yeah, 500 million. This game on Saturday night was the most watched non-Stanley Cup hockey game in 6 years. Meaning it was the most watched game that was not a Stanley Cup final matchup.
Nice.
Okay. Which the last time it was 2019, it was the Blue Jackets Bruins playoff game. That was what happened in 2019. Last year, again, putting this in perspective of hockey, okay, you can't put it in like college football numbers, but putting this in perspective of hockey, last year the NHL postseason games averaged 1.5 million viewers. We're talking playoff games, and they only averaged 1.5 million viewers across all the platforms in which you're able to watch a hockey game.
Wow.
So that kind of shows you how massive of a crowd this was compared to everything else that normally happens with hockey.
Definitely very fun time up in Canada, at least for the Americans.
I just got a text message that just says, I feel bad for Justin Tucker. I hope it has a happy ending. I'm glad that they're really in support of him. I think we all just want this to have a happy ending.
I'm just glad this happened to the Ravens and not the Cleveland Browns again. Let's take it a break off of that. I hope the Browns don't pick him up on the free agency. Regardless of that, second hour coming up next. Ike Jones on deck. You're on the Blitz.
Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl has a challenge for you.
Be an MVP to a child in need by opening your heart, opening your home, and becoming a foster or adoptive parent in Alabama. I know so many folks that are. They tell me it's one of the greatest things they've ever done.
To learn more about becoming a foster or adoptive parent, visit dhr.alabama.gov. That's dhr.alabama.gov. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station. There are many adults in Alabama who cannot take care of themselves. Some of them need foster homes. The Alabama Department of Human Resources has a critical need for caring men and women to provide safe and supportive homes for vulnerable adults. Make a difference in someone's life. Be an adult foster care provider, because love never ages. For more information, visit dhr.alabama.gov/AFC. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, and you're in the big zone deal store. For half-off zone deals of Waller's Barbecue, Diesel, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejo's Mexican Grill, Dad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Hickory Store Barbecue, Good Company Cafe, Lincoln Farms with theater locations, and Round Golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by CBNS. Bank anywhere, at any time with CBNS Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Trooper. Here are post-game thoughts from head coach Nate Oates following Alabama's game on Saturday against Auburn.
Obviously, it's a disappointing loss. You got to give Auburn a lot of credit. You know, the number one team in the country for a reason. They did a great job, I thought, on their defensive end, trying to take away our threes. We shoot very well. They contested them. They did a good job contesting our shots at the rim, too. We have for 7 block shots, our stats. We didn't make great rim reads, but they got us off the three-point line, pushed us in. They made big plays at the rim. We shot under 50% of the rim. Can't do that. We didn't convert the free throw line, as well as their guards did. Look at their guards. They were 19 to 21 on the line.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You can say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach and the Nate Oates Show, presented by Alpha Insurance, live at 6 p.m. Central at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Crimson Tide Today is presented by CBNS Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Brent Musburger's VSIN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, G-Bank is offering $250 bonus when you open a G-Bank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/G-Bank.
The Atlanta Braves open up Grapefruit League play against the Twins on Saturday. The season opener March 27th at San Diego. Home opener April the 4th against the Marlins. Atlanta plus 750 to win the World Series, 425 to win the National League, and the favorites to win the National League East Division title at plus 110. William Byron wins at Daytona 500 for the second consecutive year. A rain-delayed race. Delayed 3.5 hours due to the weather. He wins it for the second consecutive season. He's 6-1 in the Cup Series title. Kyle Larson 5-1. For Bell 550. Atlanta Motor Speedway week in the Cup Series. For more, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Olin. Partly cloudy sky expected for this Monday night. Temperatures are expected to fall below freezing. Heading into our Tuesday, we'll see partly sunshine, no rain in the forecast during the day on Tuesday. Temperatures will into the upper 40s. Heading into Tuesday night, though, that's when we'll see rain start to move into the area. Lingers on into early Wednesday morning, which will be out of the way by lunchtime on Wednesday. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 97.7ESPN.com. Joe Hunk, John Abraham, 256-576-4977. Welcome to the Blitz.
Second hour this hour on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and the Blitz. I'm Joe Hunk. He is John Abraham. As we are rolling on WZZN TV, you can hop over there if you are sitting at the house today and you have, the little ones are running around and they're doing all their thing. Probably they've taken over the big TV so they can watch all their shows.
Or the studio.
Or the studio so they can play Roblox. And, you just you can pull us up on the phone. See, I moved the monitor so that you can actually see him a little bit more.
When concentration.
He is. He's building houses right now on Roblox. Yeah, that's what he's doing.
You think he's going to be an architect when he grows up?
No, he wants to be a superhero when he grows up. So I don't know that. And so I would love this because he's doing some. What's this called? No, I mean, what's this called that you're playing right now? Okay, yeah, he's too excited.
You know, if he wants to be a superhero when he grows up, there's an anime that he can watch. It's called My Hero Academia.
Actually, no, that actually would be a really smart one.
Really
to watch, absolutely.
Really
So
learn Japanese.
it is, which he President's Day. We know that, so that we know that obviously you probably are either at home at the house right now, just kind of watching this on your phone, like I was talking about, or you're listening on the app 97.7 ESPN The Zone as you're kind of driving around, whether it is in Tennessee or in Alabama. So we always invite you. Obviously, you can call in 256-576 or 977, or you can get into the message. You can get into our chat like we have Brandon in there, John's in there. A few others that are there. It literally is like a ghost town in Huntsville right now because so many people.
Which is crazy. It is crazy because I mean the traffic report was coming out, and I didn't know that it was President's Day. I'm going to be real with you. I had no clue, and I don't think the traffic report guy did either because whenever he was talking, he was like, surprisingly, not a lot of people on the road, so your traffic is pretty much void. So have a wonderful time going to work. It's like nobody's going to work.
Yeah, because nobody is. I mean, seriously, everybody is off today. I mean, everybody is off today.
It's so weird.
And like, it is absolutely wild to see that. And then I turn around. This is the reason. This is the reason why the Super Bowl should be held every single year before President's Day.
We were just a week behind.
Just a week behind. All you gotta do is just back the season up just one game, just 1 week. We're all good. But it also has 4 nations going on, which is big as Alabama and Auburn were for us locally. This 4 nations event has, I don't want to say it may revolutionize people's way of thinking about all-star games, but now I'm genuinely curious about why he's yelling and also what other leagues could take from this, because even in like the last hour, I've seen articles about last night's NBA All-Star game saying that changes are coming in 2026 and there's going to be a one-on-one tournament and bigger names are going to be in the tournament.
They always say that changes are coming. There are 4 teams this year. It's like a miniature tournament. And then on top of that, what we got to see the night before was, of course, the dunk contest where Mac McClung, of course, amazing. I remember talking about him the first time he won this thing. He didn't do what Blake Griffin did, where he jumped over the hood of the car. He jumped over the entire car, as well as the dude sticking out.
Kia? Was it a Kia?
I don't know.
Probably a Kia.
It probably was.
Probably was a Kia.
Kia is a big deal.
Mainly they sponsor the NBA. It is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so it is. It's an event that, again, I used to love the dunk contest. I used to sit and watch it religiously.
Like the home run.
Like the home run derby. But at the same time, I genuinely didn't even know the dunk contest took place on Friday night. And the reason I can tell you that was Saturday night. Saturday night. The only reason I know that who the guy was that you just said is because at one point in time on my X feed, as I was keeping up with everything else that was happening, like Alabama, Auburn, and the 4 Nation stuff, all I saw was everybody saying his name all at the exact same time. And I was like, who does this guy play for?
Well, here's the thing. He hardly even actually plays for the team. He pretty much just gets, brought up to play in the dunk contest. That's basically what it is. I haven't looked at all the stats. I don't know exactly, but that was the case 2 years ago. I don't think it's changed. He plays for the Orlando Magic, though. So have fun finding that. You know who else is probably taken off today, though? Whoever put up this banner over in Illinois, it's Terrence Shannon's Jr., his banner that it was put up because, of course, they're retiring his number, the number 0, which isn't actually a number. I have a picture of this.
Hold on. Let me pause you real fast.
Oh, jeez.
So, Matt McClung, would you like to guess how many games he's played in this year for Orlando?
This year? I'm going to say 3.
So, I'm going to look at the camera right now. If you ever want to point at one thing that amongst the many that is wrong with the NBA, remember, when the home run derby takes place, these are guys that are the biggest home run hitters in the sport.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They play every game.
It literally is, hey, this guy's number 1 in home runs, this guy's number 2, this guy's number 3, this guy's number 4. It's like that sort of thing. Would you like to guess at how many games Matt McClung has played for the Orlando Magic in 2025?
I'm going to say 3, just because there's no way. Bronny's even played in the game.
So here's a better question. Has he played in more games than he has made dunks last night? or Saturday.
That's a good one. And then no, because if I'm saying 3, he put down 4, maybe 5. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to rock with it.
Okay. Now, and I'm going to continue asking this part. In the minutes that he has been on the court, has he been on the court for more or less minutes than what he was and how many dunks he actually made on Saturday night? Has he been on the court for Orlando longer in minutes than he did in dunks the other night?
I guess I'm going to have to say no. I'm just going to have to throw that out there. Educated guess.
He has played in 1 game this year.
Okay.
And he played in 5 minutes of that 1 game.
So not as many minutes.
He has not scored a single point this year.
He hasn't been able to get it to dunk. So.
And he has 1 rebound and 2 assists.
The NBA, you're now on watch.
I know they're not watching. And so
that is true. That is true. But they're on crime watch because this is the crime that you're able to get this guy in just for the dunk contest. 3. He's won, I believe it's 3 in a row. Joe, that was last year's dunk contest, the year before that as well. That's all they bring this guy in for.
He literally has only played 5 minutes in the NBA. And that's the reason why nobody was paying attention to it. Because when you put his name up as in, hey, Matt McClung, I don't care that he's won. But the casual person will go, wait, what?
No, you're right. Because there's people rocking his jersey in Orlando that walk by him, and they don't even recognize him whenever he says hi.
No, absolutely not. Do you know where he went to college?
This is a story that I brought up 2 years ago, Joe. It was some tiny college. That's all I remember from it.
Well, it's a very tiny city, but not a tiny college. Texas Tech.
Oh yeah, but he went to a different school before that as well.
So, but Texas Tech is where again, if we're going with the Jalen Hurts, hey, this is an Oklahoma guy, not an Alabama guy. Yeah. If we're going with that, then Texas Tech. Before that, he was at Georgia Tech or Georgetown, not Georgia Tech.
Oh, he's at Georgetown.
He was at Georgetown.
And before that,
he was at Gate City High School in Virginia. You want me to keep going? You want me to tell you his middle school? Like,
no, you're good.
I mean, I'm just. You want me to tell you what daycare he went to? Like, I'm just curious.
I redact my statement.
No, but I'm just saying, like, this is a reason why nobody's paying attention. Also, don't advertise the biggest name in your sport is going to play, and then minutes before the game starts, say he's not.
Oops. Ankle injury. Tend to that ankle.
Look, and the only comparison is like a Mike Trout to Shohei Ohtani in baseball, being like they say, hey, they are going to be in the All-Star game. Shohei is going to start the game, and then as the announcements are being made and player introductions are happening, he's not the one warming up. Like that's it. And it wasn't hey guys, sorry about that. I know that everybody in Japan's watching for him. Sorry. Hey, I know all of America wants to see Mike Trout. Like, no. No. And then again, you turn around, and then the night before, you have Canada and USA literally going to blows over, I say, the national anthem. And fighting in an exhibition game that literally felt bigger than any NBA final game that we've had in the last 4 years.
I agree.
I mean,
including the finals, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. What can the other leagues do to change it up to what hockey did? Because look, this isn't going to be the case the whole time, because the only reason they did it this year is because in the coming years they're back into the Olympics, so these teams can actually play together as part of the Olympics. So these matchups that we've seen over the course of the last 4 days that we're going to see tonight, you're going to go back to more of a quote-unquote traditional format next season for the NHL All-Star game, because they're also going to take 2 weeks off for the Olympics. So this isn't an every year type deal. Yeah. But at the same time, what on earth could the NFL and NBA do that would be as massive as what hockey has done right here? Because this and the passion that you are seeing is exactly what everybody wants to see in All-Star games, when you have the best players in the world on the same ice, are on the same field, or on the same court.
And it's understandable that there's going to be some up and down years. I mean, even for NHL, I mean, back when we went to South Florida, that game right there was one that felt like it was a little bit down. The uniforms were awesome.
Yeah.
You can't do the same for the NBA, but that was a year where it was about growth alone. And look at where they are now.
And your phone calls are welcome, 256-576-4977 as that's going. John says that Canada went to blows, and because we made them say USA, USA, USA. See, this is the type of trash talking that I'm wanting. I want to hear the USA versus Canada. That's the type of stuff, because the national pride that Canada had for that game on Saturday is exactly what I want to see. What we see in TD Garden on Thursday when this game is being played in the USA. I still believe that Finland and Sweden should have had a game on their home ice as well, in their home countries. I think that should have happened. We're talking about making this thing even more, unique, and sending this over to Finland, Sweden, and making it kind of more of a world tournament. I totally think that should have happened as well. But this is something that USA and the NHL did, absolute hit, and in other leagues outside of baseball, because even baseball can improve it, but not like what the NBA and the NFL needs.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, and I do want to hop into that Illinois story, but I'm going to have to hold off on that because we do need to hop into the phone.
I started getting into the McClung thing and finding out the man's having played in the game all year, has played only one.
At least he kept it hardwood, and we're going to continue on because we will talk about some with my cousin Vinny, as well as possibly getting into a little bit more of the Auburn, Alabama conversation with Ike Jones. But my cousin Vinny is on with us. How you doing, man?
Captain Cool, I'm doing great. Joe, how are you today?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, sir.
Glad to hear it. Glad you survived the episode in the closet with the family.
I did. I was so ready to get out of the closet. It was just, I was bursting. I was ready to just burst out of the closet. I really was.
I understand talking to some people that when they get out of the closet, it's a big relief for them.
It is. It's a massive relief. And it was for me as well. I was able to kind of finally just kind of stretch out and just feel like I was back to my normal self.
Well, there you go. As far as the All-Star game, the NFL, I don't know what you can do because, I mean, it's such a violent game that, you don't want to risk injuries and all that. But as far as the NBA, okay, they can play to win the game. They can have an All-Star game and play to win the game. Yeah. Now, you guys are probably sick of hearing this, but back in the day, when you had Bird, the Celtics were good, and the Pistons were good, and they put that team together in the East, and Magic and the Lakers and Worthy and those guys were good. They played to win the game. It was a badge of honor to win that game. Now the NBA is just, I clicked on yesterday and Steph's throwing them up in half court, this and that. It's a joke.
Well,
if they play to win the game,
Vinny, I'll tell you.
Put $1 million a player on if you win the game, something like that. But play to win the game, and that would enhance that All-Star Classic 1,000,000%.
Well, it seems easy too, Joe. I mean, it really does.
Well, and to go back, I read a story over the weekend about Michael Jordan's last All-Star game and how Kobe Bryant was on the free throw line, and one of the players walked over to him while he was at the free throw line. It was like a tie game or something. And they said, hey, miss this. No, his team, Kobe's team was down by one. The West was down by one. They were down by one, and Isaiah Thomas had told a player to go tell Kobe to miss the free throw because they wanted Jordan to win his last All-Star game. And so Kobe looked at the guy and then drained the shot.
Well, there you go.
Like he's like, no, I'm not doing that.
No, they played to win. They played to win the game because it was a badge of honor, and that's what the NBA can do instead of just making it a 180 to 175 ball game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all about the entertainment, I would say, over in the NBA All-Star game, which, I mean, you want to have from your All-Star games because it's supposed to be a fun weekend, but whenever it actually comes to the game at hand, the All-Star game, I like to look at that like it's the serious matchup between the best of the best. And the same could be said for the NHL. Same could be said for the NFL. Of course, you said NFL a little bit harder to keep it safe for the players.
Yeah, and as far as the NHL goes, I mean, this is a great tournament. I mean, it's just a lot of fun, and tonight's going to be fun because you got you got a couple of games going on.
Yeah.
And then Thursday night's the final, USA and whoever, probably Canada. But there's a reason the Russians aren't in it, because Finland and Sweden said they were going to back out if the Russians were in it.
Absolutely.
So they weren't going to have anything to do with the Russians. But anyway, look forward to seeing Thursday night. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you guys have a great week. Stay out of trouble, all right?
All right. Thanks for that, Vinny. No, he's absolutely right about that. And that's the only reason Russia wasn't in this, and that's why they called it a Four Nations event instead of like a World Cup event, because obviously they didn't want the Russians involved in it. And that, again, it was kind of a political reason. Mm-hmm. So this is also the two players that got into the fight, the very first fight between USA and Canada. I just looked up their contracts because a lot of this is, NHL contracts and NBA contracts. The Matthew
Tkachuk,
making sure I didn't want to mess it up. He just signed an 8-year, $76 million deal with the Panthers. Brandon Hagel, who was the guy that he fought, just signed an 8-year, $52 million deal
with
the Lightning.
Exactly, it's a huge rivalry between those two teams.
And so they are $52 and $75 million hockey players in an exhibition game going at it.
And that's the thing I love about hockey is you see the hits in this game. Those are legit. Those are physical hits that you don't see in even the most recent of Pro Bowl games. Oh, I would say the Pro Bowl, not the games, because you don't see any hits in the Pro Bowl games. But regardless of that, in the NBA, you're not seeing people checking each other, tackling each other. You're seeing people, playing basketball. And you can play a good basketball game. You can play an entertaining basketball game without just making it totally pointless for the fans to watch. See, the reason why the NHL can keep it going the way they have is because they add in how the NFL has its games, okay? The NFL, the Pro Bowl used to have its own football games within the Pro Bowl. And it's also got its mainstay game. Now, the NHL has tried to tinker with it a little bit throughout the years by making their 4 teams, making it now, of course, the nation. But at the end of the day, it's essentially the same thing where you're getting some of these speedy guys running around the ice, you're getting the skills competition, and then you get the game. The hockey game is always so fun because these guys are so physical.
JT Miller, 7-year contract, $56 million for Vancouver.
Golly.
I'm just all I'm saying, those are the big ones. Like Sam, I think it was Sam. Was it Sam Bennett?
Yeah.
His is like a 4-year, $17 million deal. But what I'm trying to get at is that these are the players that are going and fighting in this. So it does all come down to effort and what you want to do. The amazing dunks, the between the legs dunks and all that stuff, that's only cool during the game if you're actually going up against a team that's trying to stop you.
No doubt about that. No doubt.
256-576-4977. We're going to go to right now. We're going to go down to Auburn when we come back. And Ike Jones, co-founder of the War Report, joins us on the Blitz to recap Alabama and Auburn from the Tigers' perspective here on the Blitz, 97.7 ESPN, Zone, and WCCN TV.
In the Army National Guard, soldiers serve part-time and close to home.
My community means everything to me. It helped shape me into who I am today, and is where I choose to raise my own family. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The education benefits I got from serving helped me get my degree and jumpstart my career. The training and leadership skills I've gained from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people, help my neighbors, and look out for my community. I know that when my neighbors need us the most, my fellow soldiers and I will be ready. My family loves it here, and my part-time service means we get to stay here.
Serve part-time in the community you live in as a proud member of the Army National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard, aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association, this station. Listen to UAH Charger basketball
all season long.
So when we came out of the timeout, Coach Hedge had initially called a man play, and they ended up faking a zone. So the whole bench was yelling zone. So we tried to switch the play last second. We ended up getting confused. So Tommy threw it to me, and I initially was like, all right, I'm going to try and get to the rim right here. We're only down 2. We don't need a 3. And he flipped his hips real hard, and I tossed it back. And as soon as I let it go, I knew it was in.
Campbell to plug it in, 81-79 Union. Inbound to goes. Dribbling it up, Tommy Murr swings it up to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead. Oh my God! Campbell! It's a 3! Into the front court for the win! No good! No good! No good! Blake Campbell with some onions from Jackson, Tennessee!
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSD.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails for a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
Continuing on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and the Blitz. Congratulations to the UAH Chargers. They picked up a share of the GSC regular season championship with that win on Saturday night against Union, as that was the last regular season home game for both the men and the women, but is not the last game at Spraggins, because coming up on March 4th, both the men and women have solidified their place as a home team for the quarterfinals in the GSC tournament. So on March 4th, the men and women will both be playing their last game at Spraggins. So you can make sure that you're there. Women are going to tip off at 5:30. Men are going to tip off at 7:30. But let's head to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, because it was a massive conversation all week. It's actually probably a massive conversation for about 2 weeks leading into the game on Saturday night in Coleman Coliseum between Alabama and Auburn. Tigers win it. Ike Jones from the War Report joins us right now on the Blitz. And Ike, for you, watching the game, and I know that Auburn led for, if it wasn't tied, Auburn was winning. For you, what was the biggest determining factor in Auburn picking up that win inside of Coleman on Saturday?
I think it was just first and foremost, I was there at the game. Electric environment, but I think Auburn just did a really good job of continuing to be physical as Alabama was trying to drive. Like there was not a lot of easy buckets being surrendered. So if you were going to get it, you were going to earn it in the paint. And contesting everything, and I think it just kind of got in the heads of Bama a little bit, because when they got easy ones, they were missing. And so, just kind of the relentless nature of how they guarded around the rim was the thing that I think was and running them off the 3-point line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that's kind of how offenses are. Like either it's going to be a 3 or it's going to be a layup. It's like, all right, you're not going to get the easy 3s, you're not going to get the easy 2s. Earn it some other way, and Bama wasn't able to do it.
Well, and you said that you were at the arena, so you're just like a lot of people that were in that one can answer this question for us. Do you feel like after the game was over with that it kind of lived up to all the hype that we were wanting it to be and that we've talked about over the last week and 2 weeks?
Yeah, yes, the environment absolutely was electric in there. If you were hoping for a down to the wire situation where it was like this intense back and forth, the fact that Bama had the run to come back and tie the ball game up, I think helped to be able to make that a little bit more intriguing. Auburn winning fire to fire, maybe a little more disappointing if you're on the Bama side of things, but yeah, the atmosphere lived up to it. The intensity was there. So yeah, I think it lived up to the hype.
No doubt about that. Ike Jones from the War Report joins us talking all things Auburn. And of course, I mean, if you are an Auburn fan in that arena, you're going to be pretty happy. I mean, leaving that one, you're going to be thrilled. And this is the first game of two, and we're going to be having a lot of fun with that last matchup on March 8th. But I mean, for Auburn to win on the road, how big is this? Because we've seen it before. I mean, some of these teams can get you at home, but this one for Auburn, I feel like is just a little bit bigger than Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a tough place to play. Auburn, right now undefeated on the road to the SEC this season, so they've done a good job with that. But it's a game. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I didn't expect Auburn to win this game. I thought, this was going to be one of the few games they dropped in conference, just because I know what it's like to go into that building. I've been there as an Auburn fan a couple of times before, and to see them, some of their best teams go in there and still get humbled. But they came ready to play. But yeah, the immensity of this game, I don't even know if that's a real word, but we're just going to make it a word.
It's a word. It's a word now. Yeah, no, it's a word.
Yeah. How enormous that game was can't be underscored by, I think, the business-like nature in which the players went into there. Like they looked like they were loose and having fun pregame, but when it was time to play ball, they were locked in.
No, they were definitely having fun while they were doing it. Of course, Jonai Broome leading the scoring, but the thing that impressed me the most is the consistency from not just the starters, but the bench as well. And it's crazy to see as well, because you're not getting guys, they're now barely getting over double digits. I mean, these are guys that are getting into the 15s, the 16s, and it's a consistent bunch. Who surprised you the most outside of course, Jonai Broome in this one that really showed up?
I don't know that it's surprising because I'm starting to expect it, but you got to love the contributions that you're getting from Chaney Johnson right now. That young man has come in, and he has, in a season and a half now, just embraced the challenge of being at this level from stepping up from D2. And it just seems like every game he's getting more poised and more confident in what he's being asked to do out there. He had a tremendous game, some big threes in the first half to just kind of quiet a few runs that Bama was having in the second half, with some really tough twos down in the paint. So got to love what he's doing. But I think for me, the guy who was the absolute, just dagger guy, particularly in the second half when he started out, with Denver Jones. Defensively, he was amazing the entire game. He has been this entire season. But the 3 threes he had to start the second half just kind of reestablished, okay, we're here to win this game. And he the way Auburn started the game, he started that second half in that same manner. Got to love the way differently.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Cool that you bring up Chaney Johnson. Of course, was playing at UAH before heading.
Was he pandering just then?
No, I really love Chaney Johnson's game. It's not pandering. If I wanted to pander, then I would. I mean, I did bring up both of the Huntsville guys, right? Denver Jones from Huntsville, Chaney Johnson played at UAH, but that's not it.
Well, regardless, I think our listeners are going to love it for it. Chaney Johnson, UAH, Denver Jones, of course, Lee High School. But Jonai Broome, he's kind of he is the leader of this team. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. And at times, of course, we needed to see guys step up because of him wincing in pain and having to step out for a little bit. He finishes off this game, and he's coming off the court. He's still kind of looking like he's uncomfortable in pain. Can you give us an update on that injury, if it's starting to heal or if it's going to maybe be a few more days now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that's going to linger, honestly, just because of the nature of where the injury is. It's not, other than him just not playing for a while, I don't know how that injury is going to get any better. It's not one of those things where it's like a hand, where it's like, okay, I might not get a hit. You're literally putting pressure on this every single time that you run, jump, twist. And so I don't know that it gets better into the off season. He's just got to figure out how to, manage it between games and then play through the pain as it intensifies during games.
Well, and now you are starting to talk about this period of time where we're about to start hitting that final stretch. We're in the middle of February right now. We're getting close to March. We obviously put such an emphasis on this. Is there a worry, especially Wednesday now with a game and a team like Arkansas who has shown that they can show up in big arenas whenever they're emotionally into it? Is there a worry of a letdown with that after this game that they had on Saturday?
Um, maybe with the game being closer than people expected. But I haven't seen Auburn just not show up for a game. I mean, even the Florida game, you might want to say that defensively they were lax in that game a little bit and didn't prepare. But every other game this season, they've shown up, and particularly at home. Again, the Florida game aside, it's difficult to say that in the game if they lost in the manner in which they lost. But I mean, people forget they scored 81 points in that Florida game. It's not as if they just were completely a no-show.
Yeah.
It's just defensively they weren't getting stopped. I don't expect them to take Arkansas lightly. Like this Calipari coach team, as you said, has gone into Kentucky and Rupp Arena and gotten a big win there. They're a team that is prepared for these type of moments. You know, let's not forget, Calipari took a Kentucky team last year that was sputtering a little bit defensively into Neville Arena last year and got a win with some of these same guys that are on this Arkansas squad this year. So I don't think that Coach Pearl is going to let them look past this game and have this emotional letdown. They want to continue to prove that they're the best team in the country.
No doubt about that. Ike Jones from the War Report is our guest. And before we continue on with a little bit of the Auburn talk, I do want to kind of get a little bit of the Alabama side in here because, of course, Auburn knows how it is to face off against this Mizzou team. And Alabama, of course, has them on their schedule coming up on Wednesday. Talk a little bit about what they need to expect, what Alabama needs to be ready for against Mizzou so they don't get caught off guard.
Yeah, this Missouri team function feeds off of turnovers. Like that's what they're going to do. They're going to get out in transition, and they are one of the deeper teams in this conference. So they can just be relentless in the way that they send waves of people at you and try to continue to push that pace. Now, Bama wants to be a team that plays with pace as well. The issue is if Bama doesn't take care of the ball, which they did a great job of that against Auburn, but let's be clear, Auburn's not a team that forces a lot of turnovers. They actually just make your offense not function as well as it normally does. Missouri's going to go try to turn you over, and they're going to try to get out in transition, and they're going to try to – so it's a pace versus pace type of thing, and that's going to be the danger because this Bama team has been turnover prone in the games which they've struggled. They turned the ball over a lot. Late versus Arkansas, a lot of turnovers in that game. That Ole Miss game that they lost at home, turning the ball over too much. That's going to be the big danger for Bama in this game. Are they going to be able to bring another effort in which they're not turning the ball over much? Because if they do, Missouri feeds on that. It's going to be a long night.
There you go. You get both sides of the coin with Ike Jones. Now, I want to get down the list a little bit on the schedule for Auburn because there is a lot of talk about Alabama and the gauntlet that they're going to have to finish off with. But I mean, Auburn, you get two. You can't really say easy games, but you get two games against unranked SEC opponents, and then the rest of the way through, you get Ole Miss, Kentucky, and Texas A&M before finishing off the season against Alabama. Talk about which one of those games are you kind of looking at the most and thinking like this could be a loss, but at the same time, I think Auburn's got a hand.
Yeah, the game that you have to look at and say, all right, Auburn, you got to figure it out. This game is Texas A&M. Now, aside from Bama, again, at home, and I'll tell you why I put Texas A&M above them, not just because it's on the road, but because Auburn has been struggling on the offense or on the defensive glass, keeping teams off the offensive glass. Texas A&M is the best offensive rebounding team one of the best in the country, but the best in the SEC. And that's kind of what their thing is. It's like we don't really shoot a high percentage, but we're just going to get shots up on the rim and somebody's going to rebound it and we're going to get a bunch of extra possession. Them inside their own building with Auburn struggles right now to be able to keep teams off the glass. That's one that you have to look at and say Auburn's going to be in trouble if they can't do a better job in that regard. Plus just seems to have he has his number when you're talking about Bruce Pearl and the way that he can defend and get those guys out there. So that's going to be a big one. But the reason why I put Bama secondary to that, even though it's going to be a huge matchup, is if Auburn takes care of business and Texas A&M is the only game they drop between now and that game, Auburn will be in the driver's seat to win the SEC championship regular season. And they might, pride aside, decide, hey, Broom, you've been hurt a little bit. Dad, you've been hurt a little bit. We'll limit your minutes. We'll just kind of concede. I don't know if they're going to do that. You know, again, just too much pride in that matchup, but they could afford to do it and rest some guys a little bit in that game. So we'll see how that plays out.
Ike Jones from the War Reports joining us right now on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and the Blitz. You mentioned it just a second ago, like casually. And so I started looking up a lot of the numbers around the SEC, and literally steals is the only category on like the SEC report that Auburn is at like fifth or below fifth or sixth in the conference. Like everything else is like first, second, fifth, sixth. You know that. Is it a big deal that they don't get the steals the way that a Missouri team does or a Mississippi State team does? As we're now starting to get closer to figuring out what's going to be the difference in this being a Sweet 16 team or a Final Four team?
Not really. And the reason why you're not super concerned about it is because how efficient they are in the half court. Now, if it's a team that struggles to get half court buckets and they're not able to run their offense efficiently, then you've got to generate points via fast breaks before teams can get set. Auburn's one of the few teams that's fine with going into a half court game, even though they play at a good pace, and saying, all right, can you defend our bigs? Because how many scoring bigs can you really have in this league? And so a lot of teams just don't have practice with trying to have to play that sort of defense. And Auburn's completely content with saying, all right, we're just going to get it down here to Deny. We're going to get it to Chaney, and you guys have to figure out how to defend us without doubling. And if you double, we've got some of the best three-point shooters in the country as well. So pick your poison type of thing. So it's not a huge concern because they can find offense in other ways, and they defend so well without even having to generate those steals just by forcing tough threes from other teams.
Well, and you mentioned Denver Jones as well, and obviously, kind of the joke about pandering to the local audience of this. And like he's been on the court, he's been putting up games where he has 10 to 15 points. But it's almost like I think the spotlight is kind of turning on him just a little bit more. And what is the reason behind him starting to garner that sort of attention that you are seeing a lot of people in the state of Alabama noticing Denver Jones for?
Well, I mean, he's shooting the ball a lot better. The Florida game, he had a bad game in that one. And he talked about he had a conversation with Stephen Pearl, and Stephen's like, hey, go score, right? Don't worry about trying to be, the perfect point guard, setting everybody up. We need you to be your best self, which is a score, which is what they brought him in to do. And since that game, you've seen him be more aggressive with the shots that he's taking, more confident in which he's stepping up, shooting those shots. And he's always been a good defensive guy. So when you're a guy who is shutting the water off for some of the best guards in the league night in and night out, and then you're going to go out there and you're going to put up, 3 or 4 made threes every time you're out there. He's a great free throw shooter. You deserve to get that kind of praise and attention. If you're going to be scoring double digits every game and you're going to be playing great defense, that puts you in the conversation as one of the best two-way guards in the country. And he's playing against some of the best competition, so he deserves every bit of that.
No doubt about that. Ike, we always appreciate you hopping on with us, dude. It's wonderful talking with you. You bring the energy and you give us all the knowledge, not just from Auburn's standpoint, but also just around the SEC and in basketball in general. And continuing on with that, before we get out of here, did you watch any of the NBA All-Star games? Because that's kind of been a subject that we've been talking about today.
You know what? It did not even appeal to me even a little bit. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you. It was not appealing. Like, the last 2 All-Star games have been bogus. This one, the way that they formatted, I was like, what am I even watching here? Like, is this worth my time?
Totally.
I ultimately determined it wasn't. Social media told me I made a good decision on that, so I don't even know if I'm going to go back and watch highlights of it.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
you should. Again, I honestly had no idea that this nor the Daytona 500 was happening Sunday night. And I'm just being honest with you. I had no idea that either one of those was going on. I mean, we were working a hockey game, and it was like, oh, hey, the Daytona 500's in a rain delay. And I went, oh, it's happening? I totally forgot.
Well, I mean, if you go back and watch those highlights for the NBA All-Star game, you'll probably get a headache from the highlight court that they had. It's just nasty. Either way, great stuff from you, Ike. As always, let the people know where they can find you on socials and online.
Yeah, absolutely. PWR Ike Jones, where I am on Twitter. You can check out our YouTube channel. That is The War Report, RAPPORT. And we are at The War Report on all our social media channels as well.
Always great, man. Appreciate your time and look forward to talking with you again.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Ike Jones. Again, we will definitely be talking a little bit to him whenever that second matchup between Alabama and Auburn comes up, because I'm not going to say that Auburn's got an easy route forward. I look at this Kentucky and I look at this Texas A&M game before Alabama, and I'm thinking to myself, these are teams that are capable of getting wins. But then you look at where they may be at that point in the season, because right now what we're seeing in the SEC is, yes, these are really good teams. But they're also cannibalizing themselves a lot faster than they were at the beginning of the season.
Well, when Auburn played Ole Miss, they were struggling in the middle of a 5-game losing streak. They do get Arkansas again, which we just talked about with Coach Cal coming in. They still have to go to Rupp Arena and play in Lexington and play Kentucky, Texas A&M, like what Ike was talking about, and then you have the Alabama game. Look, I know that a lot of Auburn fans are like, "Hey, we won this. It's great. You can celebrate it." But it's also 48 hours and then you're right back on.
Not over yet. Yeah.
No, because again, you still have Arkansas coming into Neville Arena on Wednesday, and that is a game that you could truly lose if you're not going. Same thing with Georgia. Same thing with Ole Miss. You can go down this list, and there's not a single game that I'm looking at with Alabama, or I should say before Alabama, with Auburn playing and going, this one right here is going to be the one that if Broome was going to be a late scratch, this would be the one for him to be in. Nope, not with it.
I'd wait until the SEC tournament, honestly. I would get to the SEC tournament, and I would, play games without Broome, see how far we can get, and then we're going on to the tournament anyway.
The thing about the NCAA tournament itself is going to obviously be the focal point, winning the regular season. Let's be honest, we all know that nobody, as far as the committee, when they are starting to put together the bracket, is going to pay attention to what you do in the tournament unless you are a borderline first four out and you start to win 2 and 3 and 4 games.
Exactly.
That's where it's going to make a bigger deal.
But it would be very intriguing to see literally the best teams in all of the country have 100% full strength against each other. I believe it's going on in Nashville this year.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
and that's where you look back at the SEC baseball tournament and it's like, oh, hey, you got eliminated in the first round. That's actually good.
You get a lot of time to break.
You get some rest. You let everybody get rested up. You depending on where you're going, you get to leave a little bit earlier because you're not having to focus on this stuff as much. Look, it's good. But at the same time, you want to win the tournament because you want to win a tournament. It isn't like the NBA All-Star game where you're just saying, hey, we're on the court, but we're just going to have fun for 60 minutes and whatever happens, happens. No, you want to win the game. And if they are on that court in Nashville, they're going to try to win the game.
And continuing on with just the rest of the SEC, it's not just the two best teams that have it hard at the end of the season. Tennessee still has to face off against Texas A&M in their upcoming matchup. That's next weekend on Saturday, which you can hear on ESPN Winchester, as well as Alabama is going to be on March 1st against Tennessee. They still have Ole Miss, and they finish off their season against South Carolina. Now, say what you will about South Carolina. That's the final game of the season. Some players might be looking forward. They might get caught off guard. I don't think that'll actually be the case. But other teams that are within the top 10, you can even throw out Texas A&M. Their final games of the season are going to have to face off against the surprising Vanderbilt team. At times, they can surprise you. Thankfully, this one's not in Nashville. It is in Texas A&M. They have to face off against the number 3 ranked Florida Gators. Auburn, the week before the final game of the season, that's going to be against LSU. So everybody's kind of got a tough little route forward in the SEC. It's just who's facing more of those top 25 opponents. And, right now, Alabama is, in fact, facing the most. But regardless of that, never an easy ride in the SEC. As we take it to our final break, we come back to finish up this Monday edition of the Blitz. I'm still slipping. I'm almost slipping. It's engraved into my brain, Joe. You can't take it. You can't take the dog out of the dog pound.
Oh, please, hear heavens.
As we continue on.
Please,
just Blitz, 97.7 ESPN. The Zone.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain on your home for Alabama basketball. Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on to McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service to national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. The representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. DOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with DOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at DOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passion, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler from Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Crosspoint Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us. Right across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WCCN TV on Twitch and YouTube. But you are the greatest hero in American history. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hello, welcome back in. Final segment of the Blitz as I'm fiddling around my camera. Let me continue.
Okay, you can continue. We've got to wish a happy birthday.
We got a birthday?
Yes. To the ghost.
Tom Brady?
Close.
Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Wow.
Today is Michael Jordan's birthday.
Guess 58 years old.
Well, I'll be, you know what's bad is I think there's probably going to be a greater generation. It's going to be like, oh, you mean the shoe guy, the one that owns the car in NASCAR?
Multiple cars. Come on, Joe.
Oh,
get it right.
multiple
Get it
cars,
twisted.
sorry.
All right, he's not Shaq.
What year or how old did you say he was?
58.
He's got a portal. 62.
Wow, I remember when it was his 50th birthday, dude. This is crazy. I guess that was 2012, 2013, 2014, around that time when he turned 50, because I remember that. We had a barn in the back of our house. Tom wanted to do so many things to that barn. But yeah, happy birthday to him. He is, in fact, the GOAT. You can't really take that from him. You just can't. I mean,
No,
it's
no,
solidified in stone.
No, absolutely. And I promise you, whether it was the
LeBron.
first time or the second time, when his jersey went up into the rafters in Illinois, it went up the right way.
Yeah. And we very much appreciate everybody who has been watching on WZZN TV as well, chilling at home, listening to us on the app, listening to us across the country as well as in Canada. We're sorry for your loss, but you'll have a chance to get it back.
Sorry for your loss. No, we're not. You're the one that did it to him.
I just like to be kind to the people. On top of that, tonight you'll be able to listen to or watch USA versus Sweden, which is going to be fun, and then Canada going to get to destroy Finland. But on top of that, Joe, you did bring up an upside-down banner. I also did too. I also brought up how a lot of people are off work, and whoever put up this banner is definitely off work probably for the rest of his life because he had to get the AD to announce a straight-up apology to everybody, including Terrence Shannon, who every time I brought up his name so far, it's been upside down because if you're watching WZZN TV, this is how it came out when they unraveled it. And that's Terrence Shannon looking up on his banner as he gets his number retired. It is the 36th player in Illinois' history to have his jersey number retired, which is an astronomical amount. On top of that, there are a few stipulations that you need to fall into if you want to get your number retired. And it could be National Player of the Year, enshrined in the National Basketball Hall of Fame, the Big Ten Player of the Year. It came down to him having the highest average in school history with 23 points per game last season. And that's in the 51 years. So, yeah, and he was also the third team All-American selected by the Associated Press. So, pretty good player, bad presentation. And, we had to get the AD to formally just say, I am so sorry for all of this stuff. And here's exactly what he had to say is you would hate to be the guy that set up the banner upside down.
We had a regrettable situation at halftime with the jersey around Terrence's celebration. I just wanted to address that briefly before Brad came up and talked about the game. Obviously, really regrettable moment. It's a shame that it happened that way. Of course, I didn't hang the jersey, but I'm ultimately responsible for everything that happens in this building. Yeah. And ultimately, that means that was on me tonight. We need to make sure that we understand that
it's not your fault, Josh.
No, I just like the way he's like,
certain moments where mistakes
he kind of took accountability for it, but he also kind of threw shade.
I didn't do it, but I'm going to take responsibility for it. Very much a tough day for Illinois, but even tougher day for whoever hung that damn banner up.
Well, and I felt weird because I was like, are there not another player? Is there not one that they should have retired for? I didn't know how many jerseys they had honored.
They've had a lot, but either way, we got a lot of episodes in. We're going to take this one to an end. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
The coolest little gems are found a little off the beaten path, and that's exactly where you will find Hickory Store Barbecue. They are on Blake Bottom Road, just east of Jeff Road, and it's definitely worth the trip. The smokers are going on site daily, and they have the best smoked wings around. You'll love the fireplace and the covered patio, and best of all, Hickory Store Barbecue is locally owned and operated by the McAlpins. They even have rotating craft beer taps and live music weekly. Hickory Store Barbecue. Go see what you're missing. Lake Bottom Road in Monrovia. You'll thank me later.
Long before winter weather approaches, the Alabama